It's like everybody here, we should be using AI. That's like the number one thing. And then I talked to a lot of these people, and they're like, yeah, I pay the $20 or $100 a month for the model, but they don't necessarily have any return on what they're investing in a lot of the time. And I think that this is like a problem right now because I really do think that AI is a really good opportunity for people to do things that would have been very difficult a few years ago, specifically open a business. But that I also think that there's a lot of hype around AI that is making people a little bit hesitant to work with it. I guess that's the good way to put it. So, what I kind of want to do, what I'm going to be doing, is I'm going to be sharing some of the ways that I have found for people to use AI in a fairly practical way that actually has some type of return and something tangible that can be built or developed with it that pretty much anybody can do, even if you're just starting out brand new with a company. Because it's always been a thing I've been telling people for such a long time. You really want like freedom and you really want like ownership of something, you need to open your own business. You need to be willing to do the hard work for a while and then be very intentional about what you are doing with your business so that way you can build it up, scale it, hire people, and all the hard work that you put in early on will pay off because you'll be able to operate your business and run it at a higher level without having to burn yourself out so much. And honestly, I've said it before, I burnt myself out running my business in my 20s. And I think that burnout is not a bad thing, but that, the longer that you can extend how much work you can do without burning out, the better. But like, no matter what, you should be working extremely hard that maybe you do reach this state of burnout because I think there are actually some positive effects from burning out if it is managed correctly. And in our modern times, I think it's really easy to spot when somebody's burning out and then like suggest that they adapt based on that burnout. And the thing is, the things that are burning you out are probably problems that are worth trying to find a solution for. And when you get to that kind of stage, then you could probably use some kind of AI for that. It's probably a more advanced way of using AI. So what I really want to do is I want to help people understand simple ways to use AI just to get started running a business. And I'm not saying that like if you do this, all of a sudden you're going to have this great business. You still, even using AI, have to put a lot of time and effort in. And I think if you try to do it just based off of what you hear from people who already have industries that they're in that make a lot of money and are already investing a lot of money into AI, it's going to be easy to get overwhelmed and that there really are just way more simple ways to do it. Like extremely simple things that you can do with a large language model, one of the mainstream ones. So like ChatGPT, Claude, even Grok or Gemini. You'd spend maybe $20 a month. You decide a business that you want to do and use the LLM to make your setup really easy, formalize your processes, and make better decisions without spending tons and tons of money or having to learn tons and tons of systems. And what this will allow you to do is like learn AI at its most basic level, kind of like, any business owner should basically learn Microsoft, like the apps that are included. So Excel and spreadsheets and Microsoft Word documents and things like that. The same thing with AI. It's learn how to navigate a large language model, learn what it can connect to, and then begin applying that in the basic way that allows you to build a business in a way shorter time than it would have taken a few years ago. That way, you're not spending so much time with paperwork and documentation, but you will still have it in place. It seems that because of AI, a lot of people are like not planning to open a business. And that's the worst thing you could do. Just seriously, right now, you can open a business easier than you could before. And then there are some people who are like, oh, I'm going to open a business, but they're trying to open the wrong business. They are trying to become somebody who consults bigger businesses on AI, where, unless you are very skilled with programming things like Python, workflows, and artificial intelligence, then it's not really something that you're going to be able to sell easily because you don't actually have any proof of the feasibility of what you are offering. So you have to have somebody who's willing to bet on you and take a chance. Another thing that I see is that there are people who are trying to become like educators of AI, like offering to go into a business and educate them on how to use AI. But again, it's a very hard sell, especially if you're trying to sell to your normal mid-sized or small business. Um, and I think the key is really to decide that you are going to start your own business with something that's practical and learn how to integrate AI in a practical way for a small business, something like a service business, solve some problems within that industry, and what you build can then be used for a business to business type of product. And I just think this is really important because I see a lot of people getting stressed out. They are investing a lot of money into these large language models. They're learning a lot, but they don't actually have a practical application for it. And then they're putting themselves into debt or just very overwhelmed with the idea that they can see conceptually that something could happen, but they don't actually have a context to put that in. I'm going to show you the most practical ways. It's like 8 steps of how to use a large language model to start a business, optimize that business, and get yourself to a point where you are making an income, you have some more free time, and then, use that time to advance your knowledge in these systems and create better, more complex systems. So today I want to just leave you with the steps for stage one, because stage one doesn't really require any use of AI, but it's going to be crucial to developing a business that is going to allow you to have income and grow. So the first stage just requires you to think very deeply about something that you would be very interested in learning deeply about and be willing to spend a lot of time working in order to learn deeply about. In the industry that you have to determine is something that should be very simple. So to know that you've actually picked the correct industry, there is some pieces of criteria that you should meet that ensures that it's a low barrier to entry and that there is potential for growth. The first thing is that there should be some type of obvious demand for the service that you would like to start offering. So something that is needed from your common household or your average person who has a career. The second thing is that it should be something that is very tangible, something that if you were to take before and after pictures, it would be obvious that there was a significant change in what occurred because of your service. The third is that there should be some type of potential for recurring services. So something that you can do weekly or seasonally or annually for somebody. And as long as you are doing a high quality job in a timely manner, the person would want you to stick around to continue service. The fourth thing is that it needs to be something with low overhead, either no or minimal equipment. And to start, even industries that would require future investments in large pieces of expensive equipment, most can be started with a small investment in a very small piece of equipment that allows you to begin offering services, and you can invest more as you grow. And then if you've met all of this criteria, then the final piece of criteria should be simple enough to meet. And it is that it should be something that you can explain simply and people will understand without you needing to explain in more depth. And one good way to look at it is it's something that could be stated in 3 words. So when I first started my company in my late teens and early 20s, it was something I said to people was, I mow lawns. And that was it. And anything that came from that was something I didn't have to work to do. It was something that because I was offering that service, I was already in the position to get more work. And with other people I have worked with, this is what I suggest. Something that you can say in 3 words. I've heard I clean gutters, I clean houses, I detail cars, or like I paint houses. These are all things that if you said it to somebody who was a potential customer, they would simply understand what you were offering, and if they needed the service, you would likely be the person who they hired. And don't forget to subscribe because I will be putting out the other 7 stages in an upcoming video. And I think it's really going to benefit you if you are somebody who would like to start your own company, have ownership in it, and begin making income in a much more productive and effective way than could ever have been done before.